Hello there, my fine gardening friends. How the devil are you? Well, welcome to what's I think going to be an absolute beauty of a Sunday here in equally beautiful Nova Scotia. Again, I'm in the greenhouse only because I've been watering all my plants, veg plants, etc. that are growing here, all my seedlings, ready for another warm day. It's going to be warm in the greenhouse today, and I'm in a simultaneous state of confusion, mourning and celebration. How's that, you might ask? Well, I will tell you. I'm in confusion because Mrs F has been in the greenhouse and while I wasn't looking, tidied up, so I can't find anything. I'm in a state of mourning because my banana plants, my sacred banana plants that I've been supposedly looking after really carefully over the last few years and provide that sort of touch of the tropics on my pool deck in the summer, have gone and died on me. I bought them in and everything, and obviously we have a really not very nice winter here, or a cold winter here in Nova Scotia, and it's my own fault. I bought them in, but the room I put them in is a cool room, and you know, when we get down to very cold temperatures, it's a non-heated really part of the house. So and I didn't cover the top of them, so the cold's obviously got in there amongst it and they've gone and died on me. So kick the bucket, so that's no good. But I'm in celebration because all of my dahlias that I kept over the winter have all lived. So these two I bought actually, so that, you know, they don't count, but these ones here, I've kept them in the same room over winter and they've all coming up green. Look at this beauty. So really pleased with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got some others somewhere around. My pelargoniums that that I kept in the same room as well, they are growing on nicely now, starting to get ready. Little tips there that I can take for cuttings for later on, so that they'll provide me some extra plants in the summer. That's good. And a real bonus, I've tried this a couple of times and not worked, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to bother, but we'll see what happens this year. I'm hoping the cameras can pick it all up, but this pepper plant, which I believe is what is it, Mad Hatter, has I managed to keep this in that same room over the winter as well. I took 5 in, only one has lasted, but this looks like it's got some nice growth coming on here, so this will give me the chance to see what everybody's going on about when they say, oh, keep your pepper plants over winter, you'll have a much better harvest the next year. We'll see what's going on, see how this progresses. Mad Hatter normally gives me loads of peppers anyway, but this one should give me lots and lots of peppers. So there we go. That is a nice, pleasant surprise. So, you know, quite a few celebrations, and also a bit of confusion. My chilies that I planted this year, hopefully I've already killed one set off by leaving the little greenhouse covers that I have on in the day too long, but I might have given some other ones, as you can see, a bit of shock. They're looking a bit of not too happy at the moment, so fingers crossed I haven't killed them off as well. You know, just because I do a YouTube channel don't mean I'm good at everything in the garden, and don't mean everything always works in the garden, which it doesn't. But celebrating there. But I thought I'd talk to you this morning about grasses. I love ornamental grasses, and especially in my new contemplation garden, I'm going to be growing quite a few grasses, I would have thought, because, you know, it's all about leaves and texture, etc. And ornamental grasses, you know, your big ones provide a bit of grand architectural sort of texture, etc. And are, you know, just the general grandeur of them, and the small ones are nice, provide that nice bit of wavy stuff. But it's important now, if you haven't done it already, to be pruning back your sort of deciduous type grasses, And you've got a couple of different types of grasses: the deciduous and the what? And the evergreen. And I'll talk to you more about that in a moment. But it's a good time to be getting them ready for their growing season now. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a video on that. So we have two types of grass really. We've got this deciduous grass like this Calamagrostis, Carl Forster I think it is. What is it called? Featherreed grass as well. So the top growth dies all the way back every winter. Oh, here we have Mrs. F delivering my wheelbarrow. Thank you very much, Mrs. F. See you later. But I leave it up over winter because it provides, you know, a bit of architectural sort of something to look at over the winter time. But you know, now it's got all straggly, so I want to cut it back. And then you have the sort of semi-evergreen type grass, like the blue fescue over there, and that sort of always, the top growth doesn't completely die back, and you sort of treat them differently. So let's look at the deciduous first. So at the moment there is not much growth here at all. I can see a few little bits of green, so we want to cut it back as far down as possible without cutting any of the new growth, because if you cut the new growth then you won't get all the seed heads, the beautiful seed heads that you do, excuse me, in the summer. Like I think in that photograph, you won't get those lovely seed heads. So I want to cut this back. Now fortunately this one here is quite late starting off, so I can cut this quite far down, but I'm just going to do it in stages. Unlike the one in the one of the other beds there, I'd left that a bit late, so it was quite high before I could only cut it down rather, to a certain point. It'll all be covered up by the grass in the end. But right, so what I'm going to do is just literally cut this back, like I said, being mindful that I don't want to cut any of this year's growth. And this will all go on the compost heap once I have chopped it down a bit more. So, as I said, there's not much. You can just see a tiny couple of wisps starting to come up. I'm okay with that. The thing is, I've got two here, one either side of this little garden here, the Shady Splendour as we call it, and I want to, so the way that you can increase your supply, your stock of grass, is obviously it's herbaceous, so we can divide it. But I don't want to divide your grass until it's growing strongly. It's growing strongly, the soil's warmed up a bit, and then I can dig it up, split it. And I'm going to put, like I said, as you can see, you've got the two here in the contemplation garden. Lots of names for all these gardens. Next door, as you can see there, that's all going to be different leaves, etc., different types. So a nice grass will look good in there, so that's what I'm going to do in there. But again, like I said, I'm going to wait till this is growing strongly up to sort of about here before I decide to divide them. So I'm just going to carry on cutting this back. Where are we? I can cut this quite low actually, which is good. These stems are quite tough when you get down the bottom here. I always think this one's died off, but it always comes back because it's always very late growing, this one. Right, there we go. That'll do for now. I'll probably pull out a bit more stuff from that, but let's have a look at the old evergreens and how we treat those. Something I nearly forgot. So these dahlias here, at least in Nova Scotia, because we've still got frosts, it's too early for them to be planted out, which is why they're in the greenhouse. They are growing strongly now, and I can start to think about making more dahlias for free by taking cuttings. And it's quite easy to do, and they normally take quite easily as well. I'm not going to go through it here. If you look up there, there is a link on the side there, and that's all about taking some dahlia cuttings. And like I said, it's quite easy, although it looks, you know, tricky, it's not really. And they take quite easily. So, and they'll normally flower in the same year as well once they get going, so that's good. So have a look at that. And that was it really. So what will I be doing this week? This week I'm mostly going to be dividing my herbaceous plants that I have around the garden, see if I can populate less well populated spots with the freebies. And you know, most of the things are growing quite strongly now, so it's a good time. Soil is warming up, the days are warmer, etc. And before it gets too hot and too dry, it's a good idea now, I think, to do a bit of division, and then and that helps rejuvenate those plants as well. But I'll talk about that next week. And just generally starting to pot things up that are growing. The beetroots over there, I won't be potting them up yet, but they've come along nicely now, starting to germinate. And I'm going to be sowing seeds outside as well. What am I going to be sowing? Some beetroots, and I haven't done any carrots yet, got to do that, and a few other things. So there we go. That is my weekly check-in. Job's a good one.